Hey listeners, I want to tell you about the 34th PASA Sustainable Agriculture Conference happening February 5th through 7th in Lancaster, PA. You can register at pasafarming.org/HRN. That's PASA farming.org/HRN. This conference draws a diverse group of rural and urban farmers, educators, advocates, entrepreneurs, community groups, artisans, researchers, policymakers, home cooks and gardeners, youth, and others for 3 days of learning on sustainable agriculture and food systems topics. I went last year and I had a blast and I learned so much. So don't miss more than 80 educational sessions and an expansive trade show. Again, you can learn more and register at pasafarming.org/HRN.
You're listening to Heritage Radio Network.
Hey, road trippers, do you have extra cleaning you need to do around the house? Well, boy, do I have a surprise for you. There's a new spin-off podcast called Agave Road Show. This is a much longer format podcast in which we profile specific brands of agave spirits and Mexican spirits and just things that we tend to talk about on Agave Road Trip. So, if you're looking for more hours to fill while you are vacuuming and washing, this might be the solution. You can find Agave Road Show wherever you get Agave Road Trip, or you can go to agaveroadtrip.com. Catch you on the road soon. I'm Lou Bank.
I'm Mike Shalal.
And this is Agave Road Trip, the critically acclaimed award-winning podcast that helps Green Gags bartenders better understand agave syrup, agave spirits.
This episode of agave syrup.
It really is. And rural Mexico. So, Miguel, we find ourselves once more in January in Mexico. What are we doing here?
We are sourcing agave for the Maestro beer that my brewery was brewing in Chicago makes.
It has been for, this will be our third batch or fourth?
I think this is our fourth, right? Because we did Espadín from Banjes, we did Cupriata from La Luna.
Oh yeah,
we did, and then last year we did
Ultramundo's
Lamparillo y Sotal.
Yep. Perfect.
So,
okay, so then this is our fourth year, and what are we doing?
we were at Villa Suso, and we got
Mezcal Villa Suso in
Mezcal
San
Villa
Felipe,
Suso.
Guanajuato.
And we got, remind me of the varietal. I can't remember.
Salmiana.
Salmiana.
So we've got like what do you think, 125 pounds?
Well, we weighed it. It's probably 140 pounds.
I guess it would be. Yeah. Plus the carry-on.
Right, yeah.
In the checked luggage, yeah.
The tare weight of the luggage I didn't think about, but 140 pounds.
Yeah. Okay, and so... So we're gonna bring that back. You're gonna make beer with it. I don't have a clue.
Yeah. So we already brewed the base beer, which is a saison, very similar to some of our other saisons. We incorporate a little bit of corn as like an homage to the corn-heavy nature of Mexican cuisine.
Right on.
And then when we get the agave back, we'll transfer it towards its tail end of fermentation, do a secondary fermentation on the agave with the hopes of not only using the agave as like something to flavor the beer, but as a carrier of the microflora of the region that it was roasted in.
Cool. Right. So that's why we're here.
See.
But Milena and Pedro from Mezcal Villa Suso hosted us for a couple of days and took us out to do some things. And amongst those things that they did was they took us out to meet their friend Lachiquero, Marco Antonio, who runs Pulqueria La Rincón de Mayoel in San Felipe, Guanajuato.
See.
Yeah. And so we went out into the field. Did I do that better? Okay. And we went out into the fields to see, how he prepares the agave to source the aguamiel, and then how he scrapes the agave to encourage the production of the aguamiel.
He caponed a quiote
He
right in front of us. It's pretty cool.
Yep. I had the best drone assistance I've ever had in any of these trips. Thank you for that, Brian. And then he showed us how he harvests the aguamiel. And then we went back to his pulqueria to taste.
See.
So we had what? We had pulque.
Pulque.
We had agua miel, just the straight up
Straight up agua miel.
unfermented
Right.
agua miel.
And we had some made with Gabbana. How do you say it? Guava.
Guava, right.
I'm a gringo. I'm a
And then we had one made with the desert cranberry. What's the desert cranberry called?
Garambuyo.
with the guayamboyo. Garamboyo.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, that's right. I could say it a million times and still not learn the word. And then he had pulque in beer bottles that he called cerveza de pulque or something like
which
that.
just seemed like regular strength.
Just in a bottle, a beer bottle, though.
Yeah.
But then he broke out something that brought me back to my joyful place that I haven't been able to visit in years. So, like, the whole reason I got into mezcal was because I discovered that I can't consume gluten. And that meant that I had to stop drinking beer. Mm-hmm. When I was drinking beer, my favorite beer style tended to be the barley wines and the fall harvest ales. What do they call that?
We call barley wines old ales is another kind of
Old
phrase
ales.
for those types of things.
Yeah.
But like you're like highly malty, Maillardy, like high alcohol, beers
strong,
that age well.
Yeah. So he broke out this bottle that was just it tasted to me like the Thomas Hardys and the J.W. Lees that I miss so much, that are sitting in my basement taunting me that I can't I've got 2002s. I think I have a 97 down in my basement.
Wow.
I know. And I can't drink it. I figure on my deathbed in those last 20 minutes when it doesn't matter, that's when I'm going to drink all those.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll become
Eating pizza and drinking.
Yeah, exactly that. You don't want to be in that room. But okay, so it tasted to me like that.
Yeah.
Why did it taste like that? And how do we make this back in Chicago?
Well, we need to grow some agaves. Wait 12 years.
But
Capone
we
them,
don't.
harvest- Yeah.
What we need to do is just get the agave syrup
back.
right? Like we've
So-
got 3 liters. Did we get 3 liters?
I think we got 3 liters
I
of
think
it.
we got 3 liters. And I've got. Okay. Well, keep going. Explain.
My understanding of how he made it was that he just took the agua miel that he harvested and cooked it down and reduced it a bunch to make this like a syrup consistency, something that was like much higher bricks or like higher sugar concentration. And apparently, at some point, he made
Higher sugar concentration by cooking it down. Okay.
because you're evaporating water.
Yeah.
But when you do that, you also like because of the extended, and I'm guessing he's using direct fire, you get even more Maillard reactions. So the concentration of it and the Maillard reactions cause it to brown and have these like very kind of caramelized sugar notes that are similar to barley wine, where they're traditionally made with just one malt, but then they're boiled for extended periods of time. So you get very similar caramelized kind of sugar character in them, even though they ferment out.
Oh, so good. And he said this was 23% ABV?
That's what he said. I have my doubts about that.
Maybe there's an exchange rate this needs to be processed through.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, even when yeast has a lot of nutrients that it likes and fermentation temperatures that it really enjoys and is fed simple sugars over and over again, it's very, very hard to get any yeast that I'm aware of to get much higher than the mid-teens or upper teens. Yeah, it kills itself. So you need specific yeast that is bred to do that, and then you need it to give it the optimal conditions. And it's unlikely that he had both of those things. So it's probably lower ABV than that. Especially had a good amount of residual sugar. So I'm guessing it didn't ferment all the way down.
Yeah. And, and my recollection is that he had said that this was the result of an accident during cooking. And one of his friends said, well, and I don't, do you remember the actual description of the accident? Like it was undercooked, overcooked? Ladies and gentlemen, Rahina!
Everyone, I'm not sure what happened, but it's after cook. He saw that when he storage, like something didn't went well.
It's possible he didn't cook it down to a point where the bricks were high enough that natural yeast wouldn't start fermenting it. And also, maybe he did, but if it's stored in a closed container and there's humidity in it, that water will dilute the top layer. So like even honey, though honey is so high Brix, it won't ferment on its own. The top layer can start fermenting or molding, or will start becoming alcoholic.
Do you guys know what you want to order? Okay. Let's put in the order and we'll record it. So if you get it wrong, we now have it on tape. Okay, so the thing that confuses me about that, you were talking about the containers and the water, and it starts.
Yeah, I don't know why, what the thing that caused it to ferment, or why he chose to ferment it. But what can happen, even if you have things that are high Brix like that, which are typically won't ferment because there's too much sugar. A little bit of water can dilute the top layer of it, and then it will start fermenting, and then that can kind of perpetuate itself.
Got it. So, I've got these containers back in Chicago. I brought like 150, 200 liters in a while back through Sacred in order to encourage bars and restaurants to use better agave syrup when they're making cocktails. And I've still got a bunch of that. So I can tell they've started to ferment a little bit. And they've been in there for easily a year now in the Dark Matter warehouse. Thank you, Dark Matter, for hosting my liquid. That wasn't meant to sound. Did you laugh at that? Don't laugh at that. So it's been in there for like a year and a half, and it's starting to bubble a bit, and it's definitely taking on some characteristics. But the thing that surprises me about that and about this beer is my understanding is things like honey have to be really played with carefully and reduced down, like you have to add water in order for the yeast to be able to consume the sugars, because the sugars are bigger than the yeast's mouth. Okay, that might be a cartoon characterization.
You're misunderstanding
yeast and its mouth.
It's not the size of the sugar; it's the amount of the sugar. Where it's an environment, and honey. I don't know about this condensed agua miel because it was boiled, so it probably doesn't have things in it. But honey is not actually. It doesn't kill yeast or bacteria. The yeast, it's so sugary and so high a concentration of sugar that the yeast and bacteria exists in it in like a stasis. So it's still alive, but it's like in Jurassic Park where the thing was frozen in the amber.
Or it's sort of like when I eat an entire bag of circus peanuts and then I'm in stasis, like that.
Yeah, sure, exactly like that.
Okay.
But when you do dilute it, that yeast will wake back up. So we use honey a lot, and we use it during fermentation rather than during the boil to allow, when it dilutes into the beer, there's native yeast in that honey that will then re-ferment both the honey and the beer. So I'm not sure what's going on with the one you have in the warehouse or how that's starting, but something similar is happening probably, where there can be yeast and bacteria in it, but it won't be super active because of the high percentage of sugar.
Okay, so then since all of that is very sciencey and puts me to sleep, if I'm to show up at I did, that's fair, and I figured that people listening would understand and care more than I do, but if I were to show up at your brewery, at your beautiful brew pub on Ravenswood in Chicago, did I do that right? On Ravenswood?
Yes, 5121 North Ravenswood Avenue.
Look at that free ad. Sorry, Heritage Radio, you're not getting a piece of that. So if I were to show up there with both a jug of the agave syrup that I sourced from our friends in Hidalgo, and then the 3 liters that I sourced from our friend Marco, you could potentially make something like what I tasted?
We'd have to be quiet about it, though, because I don't think I'm legally allowed to ferment just agave syrup.
What do you mean?
Our license, we have to make things with grain.
Seriously?
Yeah, so I would imagine to do it legally as a product, that if you'd wanted to sell it.
No, I was thinking just for me to drink.
Yeah, I can do that for you. Absolutely.
But
our license, we have to, 51% of anything we make has to be grain as a base.
Really?
Yeah.
So
you have to go to a winery for what you're talking about.
Oh, but a winery could do it with any sugar.
Not grain though.
Not grain.
Yeah.
But like mead and
Yeah. Meaderies are typically wine licenses, at least in Illinois.
Okay, well, hey, I'm going to be showing up at your door in a couple of weeks.
Great.
Yeah. And I guess you're going to be showing up at your door with a whole bunch of agave in a couple of days.
Yeah, on Friday.
Yeah. And then we can track the progress. Will you be tracking the progress on your Instagram of the Maestro?
Sure. Yeah.
And then of this side project that's just for me because we can't legally sell it because we're not being quiet about it. We have to actually, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll try it. We'll taste it together.
Right on. That sounds great. Anything else that you think it's important to share with Gringex bartenders about the agave syrup?
No, the agave syrup?
Well, the agave syrup and the fermentation of the agave syrup.
Not that I can think of, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brian, Rahina, do you have any thoughts?
I want to take that agave nectar and turn it into a spirit, an American agave spirit.
Okay, well, and you would do that at your distillery at 30A?
30A Distilling Co. in Santa Rosa Beach, Florida, yes.
Okay, well, we'll have to have a conversation about getting you a container of agave syrup, and then we can conclude that, yeah?
Absolutely, we'll totally do it.
Okay, guys, let's finish our lunch now, and let's get back on the road.
Adios.
Thanks for joining me. Hasta pronto. You've been listening to Agave Road Trip, the critically acclaimed award-winning podcast that helps Gringex bartenders better understand agave spirits, and rural Mexico. We're blessed with sound engineering by Roy Sierra and a theme song performed by Gabriel Oliveira and Marco Ricos. Sign up to become a road tripper and listen to more episodes at agaveroadtrip.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please let us know. And if you hated it, well, I'm sure you'll let us know that too. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at Agave Road Trip. Agave Road Trip is a production of 10 Angry Pit Bulls, Inc. Agave Road Trip is powered by Simplecast. Thank you for listening to Heritage Radio Network. Heritage Radio Network is food radio supported by you. For our freshest content, subscribe to our newsletter. To subscribe to the Heritage Radio newsletter, enter your email at the bottom of our website, heritageradionetwork.org. Connect with Heritage Radio Network on Instagram and Twitter at heritage_radio. You can also find Heritage Radio Network at facebook.com/Heritage Radio Network. Heritage Radio Network is a nonprofit organization using the power of educational storytelling about food to build a more equitable, resilient food system. Heritage Radio Network couldn't do that without support from listeners like you. Become a part of the world's most innovative community today. Subscribe to the shows you like, tell your friends, and please join the Heritage Radio Network family by becoming a member. To become a member of the Heritage Radio Network, click on the beating heart of our homepage. Heritage Radio Network can become addictive. Programming you hear on Heritage Radio Network might lead you to eat, drink, and listen to more programming on Heritage Radio Network. If you drink, please do not drink and drive. Drink responsibly, drive responsibly, eat responsibly too, and listen to Heritage Radio Network responsibly. To listen to Heritage Radio Network responsibly, wear protective earbuds. While wearing protective earbuds, do not drive, do not walk either. Sit in a comfortable chair. If that comfortable chair has a hard seat, please remember to stretch every 30 minutes. If you stretch every 30 minutes, please stay within your defined stressing capacity. And consult a doctor who specializes in stretching. If you don't have a doctor, maybe Dr. Ryan Acock, the Cocktail MD, can help you out. Thanks for listening. Agave Road Trip out.